G'day, here in the brewery. Yep, we're going to try out the Gen 4 today. Quick recipe like I do in most new systems, 5 kilo grain, keep it simple. You're looking for about 1050 for your starting gravity from 5 kilo grain, something like that. Could be a little bit up, could be a little bit down. It's a simple pale ale recipe. If you want to see the recipe creation, that is on my Patreon. There will be a long cut on my Patreon as well, if you're interested in that. This will be a nice shortcut. We'll just see how the Gen 4 goes. As I said, 5 kilo grain, it's about 4 kilo of ale malt, 650 grams of Munich, there's 250 grams of carapils in there, and 100 grams of acidulated. First time using a cryo pop hop for me, so it's going to be a bit interesting. So just because you do a standard recipe like your 5 kilo grain for a new system doesn't mean you can't play with the hops. So that's what I'm going to do with this batch. Besides that, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. The whole back end of automatic profiles, while it's working, it's not completely finished yet, and that's kind of the same with the G40. There's still things that need to be fixed in the back end, in the recipe creation and things like that. But anyway, we're going to give it a go. It'll be mostly manual. I can set it up auto. I have got a profile set up, which is simply about 71 degrees for a strike temp, and I've got that set to half an hour. And then I've got the mash temp set at 65 for an hour, and then a mash out at 76 for 10 minutes. But what I'm going to do, once it gets to strike temp, it'll be sitting there at strike temp until I'm ready. Then I can skip it along. And as soon as I'm ready to mash in, I'll skip it along to 65, mash in, and let it go. You know, if you're really anal about it, you could set, and you wanted that 60-minute mash, you could set it to 70 mins, so that gives you 10 mins, or 65 mins, so that gives you 5 mins to mash in. But if it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to mash in, I'm still getting, a full 50 minutes to 55 minutes mash, which is plenty for a simple ale like this. I'm going old school like I used to do with my other BrewZillas, and starting with 20 litres, and I'll sparge with about 14.5 litres, 14 to 15 litres, see how I go. I'm going to try and sparge up to about the 30 litre mark before the boil, and that should give us 22, 23 litres in the fermenter. For those people wondering, my mill is set at 1.35 mil. Gladfield, which what most of this grain bill is, suggests 1.45 for their grain. I just go that touch smaller. That's about 53 thou, something like that. So 50 thou, just so you know what my mill's at and you compare with yours. Let's go. Alright, we're going to go into start profile. Test steps will do, the profile I set up. We've got 71, 65, 76. Press select to start profile. Back to go back. Yep, select. There we go. We've got the heating sign. Oh no, yeah, we're targeting for 71, which is strike. We probably could have went a little bit lower than that for this time of year, but it'll be okay. And the next step's in 29 minutes, but I'll show you what I'm going to do once we get to strike temp. Meanwhile, I've got my 20 litres in there, and I've got some salts. That's in the recipe, what I'm using. Should mention, always have this in the water, just in case your pump comes on. I can turn the pump on by going like that. And it's set at the moment to 100. So we can go in, if I press this button, it zips between the different things. And so if I wanted to turn this down so I don't overshoot, I can turn the power down, and that'll help not overshooting my temperature. It'll take a little bit longer to get there, but it'll help me overshoot it. And if I wanted to drop the pump down, I could do the same. Now at the moment, the way it drops the pump down is it turns it off and on for a certain amount of time. It's not the power of the pump's still full on, it's just only on 80% of the time. Or of course you can do it old school, leave it on 100% and control it via the fitting there. I'm going to put the pump back up to 100, keep this water flowing while it's heating up. I'll leave that lower so we don't overshoot, we're getting close. And as I said, I've probably gone a bit high at 71 for a 65 mash strike temp. I've just guessed that myself. I probably should have went to 70, but I can continue on at 70 here if I want to anyway. I can show you. I'll let it go a little bit warmer. I might want that up a little bit more. What I do want to do is put the basket in. So I can turn the pump off and we'll get the basket in and this false bottom. See, now I'm at my strike temp, but the next step's not for 23 minutes. I can stop that. Profile control, and I can go to there and zoom along, and you can see this little thing here. Might be a bit hard to see, but I'm zooming along. As soon as I see it go down to 65, there we go, bang. See, now we're set at 65. I'll go back. See, we're set at 65. Got my heat at 70, I can drop that a bit. Now, I've got the pump on, so that will start dropping down. I'll turn the pump off and we'll mash in. So we'll add some rice hulls. If you're new to using these machines, the rice hulls just help with recirculation. And by recirculation, I mean the flow of the liquids through the grain bed. Just take your time and mix them in. I have plenty of videos showing me mixing it all in, so I'm going to speed this bit up. You'll see me stabbing the grain at first, and I find it just gives less dough balls, just to get the water all through the grain first. If you stir straight away, you'll end up with a lot more dough balls. Just mix everything in, take your time. Just stir it all in till it's nice and combined. It's looking pretty good. A couple of small ones probably, but I'll give it a stir again in a couple of minutes anyway, just let it settle in for a few minutes. Meanwhile, we were, well, 65.7, yeah, so I probably could have went in at 70 instead of 71, 69, but you know, we're nearly there. Best I get this hose back into the grain before any pump comes on. I'm just going to let that settle. Okay, that's been sitting there for a few minutes. Get it out of the way. Grain's nice and wet. Nice and loose. Just double checking that there's no huge clumps, dough balls. And always stir again. Alright, that looks good to me. Now I'm going to put the pump on. I think I'm going to just control it via this rather than that pulse. Oh, some people will want the top on. I don't usually use the top. I guess we can see what happens. I'll just sit on there like that. Is that how they do it? I don't know. Alright, so we'll turn, I'm going to just turn it down to probably halfway. And we'll turn the pump on. Full way just to get it going. Turn it down to about half. I guess we'll see how we go. I always sort of have a look and go, alright, there's foam up to there. If we go over there, we're way too high. Might even slow it down. How much is that? There's no need for that fast. Just slow it down like that. I don't want splashing. And we'll just again, just leave it a few minutes. Don't go too far at this stage. just in case, you know, it does back up. Just keep an eye on it. Put the lid on. You want to keep the temperatures, put the lid on. So it's just been another few minutes. I just wanted to check. Haven't come up to the foam mark. So that means we're getting flow. Pump's still going. Just going to leave it be. Oh, I need to take that top off and give it a stir. I can't help myself, but I'll leave it go. I'll just leave this one go. Oops, spilled a bit. It's for pH. I've been noticing that it's settled down a lot. Like at the start, you know, when you're heating, going through your cycles, like with any system, you overshoot a little bit, you undershoot a little, you know, when you're going through your heating cycles. As I always say, leave the lid on, stop messing around, stop opening the lid and taking readings and all that sort of thing, and things will settle out, especially if you get your strike temp right. If everything's right to start with, you know, it doesn't have to work hard. And when it works hard is when you're going to get fluctuations. We're looking pretty good. If you've seen the recipe creation video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But that's pretty good. Yeah, it's really starting to slow down now. Yeah, see, now it's really slow. That's it. I'm happy with that. Well, the pH was nice, so I thought we'd just take another look. Got nice and clear now. I'll put that pH reading sample back in, might as well. Looking good. Very non-eventful, that's for sure. And that's a good thing. Okay, I just wanted to see what's going to happen. We're just about at the end of the step. We've got 23 seconds to go. So I just wanted to see what happens when we hit the end of the step, whether we get an alarm or not. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we've got a very quiet beep, which is much better than the annoying beep you get from Grandfather. But you might miss that. But it usually sends you an email too. And lets you know. But that was a little bit. Maybe you can adjust it. I don't know. I haven't really looked into these things. But it's moved on to the next step. And it's counting already. So it's not waiting till it gets up to temp. So I should have made this step about 20 minutes. Because that's gone to 9.3 minutes already, so yeah, the timer started already before it's hit temp. So we're going to be going up to like 76 now. Okay, there's the target there. I can turn the heat element up a bit now. Speed it up. And I'll just extend it a bit, because we probably won't get there. Oh, you know, we might get there with a couple of minutes to spare. Although it seems to be climbing pretty fast. I better just check the flow. Oh, we've still got flow. It's not super clear, but it's clear. I don't like that splashing. But we haven't come up much at all. I don't like using the top. I'd rather not use the top, but that's personal choice. So that's pretty typical to get right up to 10. It takes about 10 minutes usually. You know, 5 to 10 minute ramp, and then 10 minutes I have it at mash out. And we're nearly there at ramp, at mash out. And we only got a minute and a half left, but that's okay. I'll flick it over to manual now. I can just go stop. There we go. That was what I wanted to do. And we're still target at 76. We've got the heat at 100. And yeah, the pump was on. We can leave the pump on. And I'll just leave it another, 5-10 minutes. If you saw my live stream brew day, you'll understand mash out is important. It's really worth doing it if you want to keep some body in your beer, unless you put it to boil straight away, but that's a whole other topic. But mash out is important, don't skip it. Excuse the birds, and mash out went for a little bit longer, probably 20 minutes longer than I wanted, but now we're clear. We're really clear now. But that happens sometimes, and I'd rather I'd rather pause either during mash or a little bit longer, depending on the beer. I wouldn't want a stout just to mash for hours, but mash out was okay. Anyway, we're right to go. I'm going to pull this basket and sparge. I'm going to sparge with about 14 to 15 litres till we get to about the 30 litre mark, if I can see it on this new vessel. I'm not sure about that first step. It's got 2 steps, this mash pot. I don't really have a need for the 2-step. Maybe if it was much heavier. Well, this isn't a very big batch. We can try that. That's the first step, but I don't really have much need for that. Get that all the way. Well, we're on. And so I really don't like how the top plates squash the mash beds. I think they do. Other people might beg to differ, but I think they do. I'm just going to use this jug to sparge this time. Probably could have taken a little bit easier. It'll be fine though. I've got to do 7 of those jugs, about 14 to 15 litres. I can't tell what this water's doing. It's looking very clear coming out the bottom. I'd rather break up the top a little bit. There could be a lot of dust on top, and this water could all be going down the sides, but I cannot tell what is happening with that top screen on. It's too late now, we're right at the end, but yeah, I'd rather not use it. Did I say I wasn't going to mention that again? I'm just going to shift the camera. The camera's not going to pick it up, but I just look down here. I can see where the 30 litre mark is, and I know if I sparge to there, I'm going to get my 23 litres out. You can leave it to drip, or you can rush it. You can put more water through, and then as soon as you get to your 30, pull the basket off. Up to you. If you don't understand some of this, because I'm going through it pretty fast today because there's been no problems. I've had lots of problems before on other machines. Just drop a message, let me know, I'll help you out, or I'll show you another video where I've had a problem that you might be having, or you might want to know something. Just ask, don't hesitate to ask, that's what I'm here for. This video's ended up a little longer than expected, so I've had to split it into 2 parts. This is the end of part 1, part 2 will be out in the next day or so. Cheers and thanks very much for watching, much appreciated.